Hi, welcome to the Dave Palmer Show. And in this episode, I have someone who is the co-founder of Pacific Coast Ayurveda and the International Institute of Ayurveda, where he serves as a NAMA recognized Ayurveda Vedic doctor and Kundalini yoga teacher.
That's right.
Yep, Victor Briere, welcome to the Dave Palmer Show. And is it Briere?
It's Briere.
Briere. Okay.
All good. Happens all the time.
Yeah. I think that's the name of a cheese, isn't it? Oh, no, just joking.
Similar, close enough.
Similar. Okay, that will help. All right, well, Dr. Briere, you are a doctor. I've been into fitness pretty much since school days. Really, I took up sports and that, and then I've been in a firefighter for most of my professional life before. Well, I was doing coaching while I've always had an interest in coaching anyway. So I'm quite intrigued to know. Obviously, I've been around Western doctors a lot, and now I've known alternative medicine. I've got to know, and I have some guests here. But what is Ayurveda?
Ayurveda is a holistic science, and it's from originally India, or what we now think of as India, but 10,000 years ago wasn't it originated. That was a very different place than we think of it now.
Before the Brits colonized it.
Exactly. Long before that point. Yeah. And so Ayurveda is a holistic science based on keeping your entire system in balance, meaning your body, your mind, and your soul. That's one of the biggest differences between Ayurveda and allopathic medicine is the existence of a soul and its necessity in the healing process.
Right, I see. So tell us more about how Ayurveda works and how people can benefit from it.
It's going to work by basically getting as close to the root cause as possible. So an example helps in these kinds of situations. Let's say someone comes into the clinic, sits down in front of me, and we have a talk. And, let's say they're coming in for pain in their joints. They have arthritis. Okay. So yeah, right. Super common, right? So they got pain in their joints and they're coming in and it's like, oh, do you have like a cream or something I could put on my joints? Sure. Fine. All good. Right. We could throw herbs at you. You could take supplements, all that. But what Ayurveda is really interested in is why is there pain in the joints and how far can we trace that back in the body? And what are the root causes of that? So with something like arthritis, it comes very much down to your digestive tract. And there's some kind of malabsorption or indigestion or something like that going on. That's ultimately producing toxicity in the system that over time wears down the joints. And then that toxicity lodges in the joints and your immune system reacts to that toxicity in the joints and you get inflammation in the joints causing pain, arthritis, and deterioration of the bone tissue. So if that starts in the digestive tract, then Ayurveda wants to deal with that on that level. And then we start combing through the lifestyle to see why there's an issue in the digestive tract. That could be eating at the wrong times. It could be eating in the wrong state of mind. It can be stress eating, comfort eating, you name it, right? It could be drinking too much alcohol. It could be drinking too much coffee. I mean, the causes are in the thousands. So we walk through the lifestyle and get a gist of that and then try to change those lifestyle factors to help the arthritis heal.
Yeah, right. So, obviously the lifestyle, the lifestyle coaching and everything, that's quite a big thing now. Obviously, Dude. I was around the area when there was only sports coaching, when I first started in the late 70s, early 80s, so, but, lifestyle probably is tops all of that because, even if a sports person, many sports people might not get their lifestyle in check and obviously, it can catch up with them really with what they do. So, what I'm looking at is obviously I'm used to Western medicine. I've looked, as I said earlier, I have had some people with alternative medicine, which is growing more and more. Well, what's the difference between Ayurvedic medicine and Western medicine?
The Western medicine on the whole, at least in the United States, which is where I am, is very symptom based. You go in, you sit down, there's a Western doctor there, they say, okay, what are your symptoms? They diagnose you with the disease, and then they prescribe you a medicine. That's kind of the the picture.
Yeah.
Very rarely will they talk to you about deep-seated lifestyle patterns or the effects of your emotional states on your body. For that, you need to go to a different doctor, a therapist, right? Or a psychiatrist, where then they usually prescribe you more medication. So that's Western medicine in a nutshell. It's either medication or surgery. And of course, there's nuance to that, but we got to talk in broad strokes here. Ayurveda is way different. Ayurveda is, like I said, going to try and get to the root cause, and it's much more like a coach, like you know about. Yeah. So we're gonna try to work it out with you. So if you go to a Western doctor, you get at least in the United States, if you're lucky, you get 10 minutes with them. An Ayurvedic consultation is going to be much more in depth. You're going to have a whole on conversation. You're going to really try and get down into the bottom of some of the real lifestyle triggers that are creating the pathology to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, I did talking about a lifestyle, as I say, an alternative. I mean, I did have a doctor that was an OB-GYN doctor. This is around last year when the pandemic, lockdown first started, a couple of months. And then she switched to functional medicine, meaning lifestyle and stuff like that. So that's what she really does. And, with some health coaching on top of that. But, she's a Western trained doctor, more Western MD. But you're using Ayurvedic medicine. You're not just using lifestyle. So that's something a bit more extra. What extra do you do on top of the getting to the root causes, what functional doctors can do as well? I mean, that's a new medicine. Lifestyle medicine is a new medicine and a growing one as well. So,
for sure.
Yeah. With you're doing Ayurvedic with the lifestyle. So what is it with the Ayurvedic is that I mean, I saw something about pulse and stuff like that.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of ways an Ayurvedic doctor will diagnose. That's quite different from Western medicine. So one of the ways is through pulse reading. And don't think just heart rate and, rhythm and stuff like that. Ayurvedic pulse reading is, maybe more people are familiar with Chinese pulse reading. You can assess the status of the vital organs in the body. You can assess what in Ayurveda are called the doshas, which are kind of like the primal natural forces that play out and define the functions of your body. Those are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, for anyone familiar with those. And you can assess the quality of the tissues, meaning blood, bone, muscle, fat, all that stuff, all by reading someone's pulses. It's really an incredible art, actually.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I obviously coming from the sports background, the pulses. Well, the traditional way was just putting two fingers on the wrist, and especially when you wake up, just getting your resting pulse rate, and then obviously then the which I use a wearable. They're not as accurate, obviously, but now it's more about wearables and using I forgot what it's called now, but HRV or VR. I can't remember what it's called now, but.
The heart rate variability.
That's it. Yeah. So that's exactly. Kind of going on along that line, because obviously the variability gives you a bit more reading, doesn't it? But it doesn't go as far as Ayurvedic. What's the difference between that heart rate variations and Ayurvedic?
So for example, if you're going to read someone's pulses Ayurvedically, we use 3 fingers on purpose. And there are 7 layers of the pulse. So, and those are micro adjustments with the fingers moving different depths up and down the pulse. And you're basically communicating to the pulse via the types of pressure you put on it, kind of like playing an instrument almost. You're prompting the pulse to give you certain information. And then it just so happens that your body can communicate through the pulse. Or that's a possible way of assessing what's going on inside the body. So, if I depress my index finger on the right radial artery, and all the way to the bottom to pretty much stop the pulse and then just come up just a little bit, I'm assessing the status of someone's lungs in that particular position. Whereas all 3 fingers very lightly touching the surface, I'm assessing the nature of their overall system in the current moment. And of course, I mean, I wrote a whole book on this topic, so there are hundreds of pages of information worth of how to do this, and it's a very sophisticated art form.
Yeah, but it looks so simple, doesn't it? It's like taking it.
Yeah, it looks simple. Yeah, but it takes training, and then you start to get it. You start to pick up the patterns, and you start to say, oh, okay, I get it. Like, these patterns match up with this feeling, and so on and so forth. And it's remarkably accurate. And that's just one of the ways we do it in Ayurveda. There's the tongue, eyes, skin, something that survived into allopathic medicine is palpation of the abdomen, right? A really age-old diagnostic art, and taking blood pressure, all that stuff. There are a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences.
Yeah. So I'm a patient. I'm going to come to you. Let's say I've got prostate issues. And now, doc, what's going on? I'm not urinating, and obviously I know about the size, and I'm over 50 myself, and what's going on, doc? I don't want to go to a Western doctor. What am I going to experience from you now?
Yeah, so you'll have submitted a health form, so I'll have your health history, right? And I'll know what medications you're on, if you're on any, and we'll start talking. And because I've seen that issue a number of times, I kind of know what questions to ask, right?
Yeah.
To start seeing, and then I start seeing how not only am I listening to what your answer is, but how you're answering.
Oh,
so
okay.
if I can tell that you're a pretty nervous guy, let's say, and one of the questions I'll ask during conversation is, so when did the anxiety start? And it's like, when I was 2 years old, and so we'll kind of start working with that, and then it will come out maybe that this is just an example, right? Of course, there are many causes of a problem, but it'll come out. It's like, I started this bad habit of holding my urine in high school, and ever since then, I kind of got used to being that way, and I'll go a long time without going to the bathroom, just because I'm busy or whatever, into adulthood even.
Yeah.
So, right. So you can kind of see it. That's the pathology. It started very young based on an anxiety, and then it just never got resolved into adulthood. And that's one causative factor. There are probably 3 or 4 more in there. But that person has trained their body to do something that is going to cause a pathology. And in the case of the prostate, holding the urine will do it. And then let's say they have an inflammatory diet, they're eating inflammatory foods, things like that. That's all going to contribute to that.
Well, that's
and
the common
3 or 4 things pile up.
That's a common cause of making the prostate bigger. So obviously, when you get older, it's going to do that anyway, isn't it? So, but also there's a lifestyle issue. So, I mean, for example, I used to do sports, but my lifestyle is not the same as when I was like, everything's got to be precision, nutrition, blah, blah, blah. And I've got this race this weekend because I was doing that track. But, especially the soccer players in the UK. I mean, obviously I'm from the UK, you can help from my accent as well. But, they don't really, a lot of them, they're really fit, and, they have to be, because a lot of them getting paid big money. But even the ones that don't, it's kind of a reasonable shape. When they stop, it's kind of like a different lifestyle for them, because of just the way the nature of the, it's a very social sport as well, so... some of them do have drinking problems, maybe not all of them, but they might not eat the same way when they was around that kind of bubble of just being in around that professional sport and around the dietitians, whatever. So what I'm trying to say is the lifestyle,
watching them constantly, right?
Yeah. So I'm just relating to sports, but life in general, people's lifestyle might change as they get older, and it's not as good, So they're coming to you now with this problem, say with the prostate, because I'm saying it because it's age, it can be age related as well. So. And there's a lot of build up of lifestyle issues that changed over time. Wouldn't you want to question about that, as well as when did the anxiety start, or stuff like that? Or would you prefer to go through?
Absolutely. No, we're going to get into it all. And we get into, kind of some vulnerable, intimate stuff too. Like if someone's got a prostate problem, you got to talk to them about their sex life. You have to, right? You have to.
I know.
Yeah, there's no way around it. If you don't, you're not doing your job as an Ayurvedic
exactly.
doctor.
Both Western and Ayurvedic have to kind of get there.
Yeah.
But I suppose with you're getting more deeper into it, because you're going to the root cause, aren't you? Whereas they're just thinking the medicine. What medicine with the Western, aren't they? So
yeah, exactly.
They wouldn't get as deep, but they probably
and that's
might
what
ask.
We want to.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, no, go ahead. No,
I was going to say the doctor might ask her, well, how's your sex life? And that's it. Whereas you'd want to get deeper, which might be a little bit maybe embarrassing depending on the individual. I mean, I'll be fine with, as long as it's around a conversation, say, look, I want to get this sorted out, so I'll tell you as much information as possible. Some won't. So how do you do with that?
you learn, you learn by observation. So if someone seems anxious or shy or concerned about it, there are times where I'll back off. I won't pressure it, right? Maybe I'll wait till the next time we talk when they're feeling more comfortable. But if it's dramatic enough, if the disease or imbalance is severe enough, then it's important to
absolutely
get the real story, right? So I might just say that. I might just say, look, I get it. I understand why you're nervous, but it's vital that we talk about this because we need this to change, And usually 99% of people will then open up because, they don't want the problem.
Yeah. Well, well, that's something I'm looking at. I'm 56 actually, so I mean, even whether it's Western or not, you got to look at your health anyway. As you get older, you don't really stop the fitness. You should actually be maintaining it, and your bone health and everything else is actually more imperative. And I know I learned, as you get older, you do need a little bit more protein and stuff like that. But anyway, I don't want to go into it because you know more than me. You're a doctor, so I'm just a fitness fanatic, derived from my interest and hence the coaching. Sure. But what are the three biggest health issues you find most common?
Especially in the United States, diabetes, obesity, and hypertension.
Right. Can they be linked? Because obviously obesity and diabetes, I mean, diabetes can get triggered from obesity, surely, so.
Yeah, they're completely linked. Absolutely. Yeah. There's no coincidence. And that's a common theme in Ayurveda. We think we have these different diseases that are going in our body, but if you really look at the root causes, they're the same. So, and now you can even look at it. Ayurveda has a long time classified a lot of mental disorders as a form of diabetes. And just now there are all these studies coming out that Alzheimer's is being called diabetes type 3. So that's news in Western science, but it's been around a long time in Ayurveda. Yeah. So, but that's a good example of a disease. It looks like a different disease. Like if someone had diabetes and Alzheimer's, you'd say they have two different diseases. Really, completely the same pathology.
Right, I see, yeah. How does disease really work?
Good question.
Yeah.
How deep you want to go?
Well, we've got another 10 minutes, so we don't want to go too deep. We want to find out more about the work you're doing and how people can get hold of you afterwards. So,
all right. Well, without getting too crazy, disease, for the most part, most diseases that we're going to face in our life, of course, there are accidents, and of course, there are truly externally caused diseases. Granted. Like, you get hit with a virus or something like that. But even situations like that are very dependent on the strength of your immune system. So there is an internal factor to it. Most disease actually starts in the mind and then translates into the body through the autonomic nervous system. So you have a big giant nerve in your body called the vagus nerve. That's part of your parasympathetic nervous system. We all do.
Yeah.
And it's connected to all your sense organs and all your vital organs, and it's a two-way street. So anything you perceive in your environment gets translated into your vital organs, literally, not metaphorically. So if you pick up a threat in your environment, your whole physiology changes in less than a second. And if you're stressed out because you see something you don't like or hear something you don't like, that translates into your physiology less than a second, and vice versa. If you relax, if you're calm, if you're happy, translates into your physiology in an instant. So this whole idea that the mind and body are separate is completely ridiculous. They're completely the same, and most diseases start with a misperception of reality.
Right, I see.
Yeah, we think something's threatening to us, but it's not. But we live as though it is, or a bunch of things are. And so we develop bad habits to compensate for that. We eat comfort foods. We do all these sorts of things. And we just feel stress and suffering and pain. All that translates into our body and affects our physiology and starts creating malfunctions in our system. Eventually, those become diseases.
Right. And is that thinking linked to the primal part of our brain, the reptilian brain, meaning we don't know, but we're going back to prehistoric times where we're being threatened by a saber-toothed. I always use this example. It's a very common example. Saber-toothed tiger. And then, the primal thing is food, survival, isn't it? Eating food and sex, obviously, things like that. That kind of can trigger all that from nobody knows about it because that was thousands, billions, whatever, years ago. So in the modern world, they're still going back to that. I'm being threatened by a tiger, but it really is whatever's going on around them at the moment. So is that what's triggering that part of the brain to eat more and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's definitely related. I mean, it's not, of course, the brain's super, super complex and all that, but yes, I mean, we can, for the sake of this talk, sure, absolutely. That's happening inside all of us. And we have another part of us, you could say, that inhibits that, which we would say is someone's ability to put down the thing that they're about to put in their mouth that they know isn't good for them, but that they really, really, really want to eat. That's another part of us, and we have to actually cultivate that part of us to be able to resist those temptations to maintain our health. Which is no easy task at all. Yeah, but vitally important.
But going along those lines, that can actually relate also to with that thinking when you're under stress and triggering that eating more, and also, you know, sex and looking for other comfort things can trigger addictions. What can you tell me about addiction in Ayurveda?
Sure. There's a beautiful Ayurvedic line in one of the old texts that basically says that all addictions at the end of the day are caused by a feeling of separation from one's true nature. And that runs deep. There's a wonderful book that came out recently by Johan Harish called Lost Connections, which basically you know, does a bunch of studies around addiction. And that is basically, when it comes down to it, based on isolation as a root cause of addiction, which we're seeing like crazy during COVID times. Isolation skyrockets and addiction skyrockets simultaneously. Depression, anxiety, all that stuff go way up because everyone's starting to feel isolated from each other. And Ayurveda says exact same thing, that the more isolated you feel, the more lonely you feel, the more you're going to try and compensate that feeling with comfort items and habits and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as I say, we don't want to go too deep in it and sort of get away from the main topic today, which is Ayurveda. We don't want to talk about addictions, because I mean, obviously, as an ex-firefighter, and it's just stuff going on with PTSD and addictions and suicide and things like that. That's my big topic as well. You know, I'm mainly now, my niche now is becoming a resilience coach. So it's really looking more on the mind. It's mind body as well with that as well. Because
well, resilience is a great word. And Ayurveda is huge on not just saying, okay, here's some herbs, take these herbs like you would a pill, right? Yeah. But we need to build resilience in your system so that you can make the changes you need to make to really have a healthy situation going on.
It's amazing what the mind can do without the medicine. Obviously, sometimes you need the medicine, you know, but it's amazing. And obviously, you teach that with the Ayurveda, because you're a yoga teacher as well, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. And yoga's great at building resilience in the nervous system.
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Parasympathetic system, and obviously it's mind body as well, because you can't just do it with the mind as well. You got. Yeah. Well, anyway, again, we'll have you on a show to talk more about that as well, because I'm also a coach, a life coach on the one of the top mindfulness apps, but there are many yoga teachers there. I don't teach it, but we'll have you on a show again to talk about that topic, because that's another topic of mine as well. So with our society getting more sick with all the advancements, why is our society getting more sick with the advancements of more medical technology?
You know, there's a short answer and a slightly longer answer. The short answer is because no one's touching the root cause of these diseases. The longer answer is, you know, I notice that a lot of times when people go to Western medicine and get involved in that system, there's a lot of tests, and that's great. Imaging and blood work and imaging again and more blood work and all that. And a lot of times, like a lot of the time, it's all inconclusive. And I think that gives people kind of this feeling inside that they're being taken care of while there's a lot of testing going on. But actually, at the end of the day, a lot of people just get prescribed prednisone or, you know, an or like an immune suppressant or something like that. And so there's huge, you know, or an antidepressant, anti-anxiety, right?
Yeah.
Or you could take, for example, like I talk to a lot of young women in my clinic, and they're all on birth control. And I said, well, why did you start getting on birth control? Because I had painful menstruation. So they start taking birth control, which is a hormone. It changes your hormones. But that's not resolving the root cause of why they have menstrual issues. It's just forcing something in the body to shift temporarily. And of course, that's going to have consequences. So people are getting sicker because they're not getting down to it. They're just using substances that temporarily alter their system, which a lot of times can make someone sicker, not better.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long-term use of certain things. I mean, depends what it is. It could actually affect organs internally in your body and stuff like that when they're thinking it's doing them good for whatever, like you say, the quick fix, what they're getting for
quick fix. Yeah. And and the thing is with that is we could point our finger at pharmaceutical companies or doctors or whatever. I don't like to do that, because a lot of times I'll see people come in the clinic and it's like, all right, like we can make a change here, but you're going to have to give up a few things or change a few things. And they don't want to. And that's fair. That's their choice. But then what are they left with? What are their options? The options are basically to go to take a pill.
Yeah. Or even worse than that, really, spend a load of money on medical issues that gets worsened, And
yeah,
I mean, diabetes affects a lot of things, in your body. So you could cut out the sugar or whatever it is. I mean, obviously, that can be more common. It depends, because it's type 1 and type 2, but you want to avoid it altogether, don't you, really? Because you really are going to fork out money for other medicine and life-threatening, diseases that could follow on if you don't. So
yeah, if you want to save a lot of money, invest in preventing disease. Don't try and deal with it when you've got the disease. You'll save a ton of money.
Yeah, exactly. Me. Yeah. But obviously, for the people that do have these diseases, because some of it may be genetic, so obviously it's still worth doing the prevention course anyway. Still, isn't it? Really, it's not a case of just keep taking a pill or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of the beliefs about genetics being as causative as they are has been shown not to be true. That a lot of genes are activated by lifestyle and stress situations, and that if you never activate the gene, you never have the problem. So the whole thought process in the 80s and 90s that, if you have this gene, you're done for, turns out not to be the case after all.
All right, because there's such talk as fault genes, faulty genes from carried, down to the, from the parent or,
Yeah, but what's also carried down a lot of the time is lifestyle behaviors, right?
Yeah, so, that's right.
Yeah, so
that's usually around the environment you're growing up, from the age of 0 to 7, you're picking up a lot of stuff from there, aren't you? Which, the brain's kind of setting you up for life from there, isn't it?
Yeah, and psychological patterns. So it's amazing to watch people heal. And I have the privilege of seeing this all the time. When they really do make a change in their psyche or, the deep being, and they do make the lifestyle changes, they heal. It don't, like right before your eyes. It's amazing, because the disease was being generated by those patterns in the neurology.
Yeah. Well, what they need to do is go to a doctor like yourself or a coach like me, and they'll be sorted.
They'll be sorted, no problem, right? No problem, we got you covered.
Yeah. We'll just plug. I'll just plug myself there. No. Okay. Well, before we go and end the show, what is tell my audience what is the most single and most important thing our listeners can do for their health today?
Today, like right now, like what you can do is you can eat dinner no later than 6 p.m.
Oh, right. Okay. Because normally sleep is now a big topic, huge topic, but obviously eating before 6 is an amazing. I mean, I eat after 6 as well. Sometimes it's unavoidable sometimes.
Sure. It's unavoidable sometimes, but if you could get 90% of the way there, you're golden.
Right. I see. What's the reason behind it?
Actually, what I was going to say is for sleep. That's the reason. You'll sleep much better if you eat earlier.
Right. So that's what I was looking at. Yeah. I do know that if you eat close to your bedtime and midnight snacking, and that doesn't really help, even though people might think, oh, I'm sleeping all right. But when you're sleeping, you might not get to those levels of REM and below that. So even if you think you're sleeping good, you might not be getting to that deep sleep that you need. And that's where all the work's being done to repair the body and, process the information and stuff like that, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're accumulating inflammation. You're not healing all your tissues. There's a whole bunch of stuff that happens in sleep. Yeah. And if your body's busy digesting stuff, it won't do those other functions.
Yeah. And to cut the long story short, there's different levels of sleep. So people might think they're sleeping well and they're not, you know, and they might think so. That's another topic we can go into. I've had some sleep experts on there, and that's one I'm on. Actually, it's a sleep and mindfulness app that I'm on as a life coach only. So you can come on as a doctor on my show another time and talk about Ayurveda and that aspect as well. There's so many aspects, and it's like medicine. There's so many areas like coaching there is as well. So. But yeah, well, it'd be great if we can have you back on the show. You know, this has been an amazing topic we're speaking about, and you know, with your work around this and the yoga as well. But before we go, can you just tell people how they can get hold of you and find out more about your work? And
yeah, absolutely. The easiest way to contact me is through the website. That's www.iiayurveda.com. So that's we have a clinic, obviously.
Yeah.
And we also are launching our official Ayurveda school where we train Ayurvedic professionals. And we have a few Ayurvedic courses you could check out on the website. One of them is actually a course for Ayurveda and the vagus nerve, which is a very excellent and illuminating course. And I like, is it okay if I offer your guests a freebie? I like to offer
Sure,
freebies.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyone interested in Ayurveda and learning more about their constitution, shoot me an email and we'll do a free 15-minute constitution assessment, Ayurvedic style, over Zoom.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a treat. That's a treat in itself. I might even take you up on that myself.
All right.
We'll see anyway. But yeah, we'll talk about it off air in a minute. And just, well, when I send you the email with all the podcast information, you can certainly send that back. But yeah, okay. Well, that you can offer that if they mention my show when they contact you on the website.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well, Victor, it's been a great pleasure talking to you, and I'm always learning something from my guests, and this is a new area, and I'm sure I'm going to have you on the show again, and you know, get to learn about Ayurveda even more. It's certainly the way forward, isn't it? I mean, Western medicine now is probably going to learn more from alternative, aren't they? Really, because it's starting to really take shape and stop, especially in what's happening now with the pandemic. And we've got to finish soon, but we're going to tangent off. But it really is going to be looking at medicine like yours with what's happening with people's health, not just from the COVID, but what's the impacts of people that haven't had the COVID and affected by the lockdown and pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just, I like to say that we call Ayurveda traditional Chinese medicine and such alternative. Yeah. But I think that's kind of funny. They were around a long time before Western medicine.
Yeah. Well, it's just a name being given. It's probably be given a different name, actually, like functional medicine. I don't know what, but I'm just saying,
holistic medicine.
Holistic, yeah. But I'm just saying it's when I say alternative, I mean not going to the actual hospital that everyone knows about and.
Yeah, exactly.
Traditional Western medicine. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So. Okay, well, it's been a great pleasure, Victor, coming on the show. Thanks a lot for sharing this all with my audience today, and I certainly will have you back again.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.